There was a file at the front desk where you would find memes, hotel memes, that whoever was at the front desk could pop out and look at, and they'd be hilarious. It was a great way to kind of let off a little steam without, getting written up or fired.
One time I had a manager give me edibles and he's like, don't take it at work. But what I heard was take it at work. And I just remember I was fine. And this guest came up from Australia.
Oh no. That property. Some guy who had a store, a cannabis store, had a bunch of samples he would always bring in. I just said, why not? This guy's, these are professional products. I took 3 times as much as you're supposed to take.
Oh no.
That night I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. It's hard to deal with a lot of that stuff when it comes to mental instability.
As she was getting her keys, she's like, the Hollywood hotel just kicked me out.
Mm.
And they were like, hey, why did you kick this lady out? I was on break when it was happening. So I was like, thank God she wasn't like, and you told me,
Liar.
You that I said was cute with the glasses.
Hi, thank you so much for tuning into the Inhospitality Podcast. I'm Ty Justice.
I'm Simba.
And we are talking about everything related to hospitality from those who actually make it happen. So today I wanted to talk about memes. Now, I know a lot of times we all communicate, and you know me, I send out memes like crazy now, hotel memes and work memes. And it's how this generation communicates. It's the new age way of kind of like coping and dealing. But you kind of did it in a really interesting analog way when we worked together in Hollywood at the property. You would there was a file at the front desk, and I don't know why they never I don't know why they never threw it away, but there was a file folder, a manila folder, where you would find memes, hotel memes, and if I find them anywhere, I'm going to post them up just so we can go through them.
I was going to say, didn't you take a folder?
I took it and I gave it to you. I took the folder, didn't I?
You didn't give it to me. I swear to God, you have it stashed away
I gotta
somewhere.
have it somewhere. Oh my God.
He's got to have this stashed away
somewhere. So every week, you would print out tons of memes that whoever was at the front desk could pop out and look at, and they'd be hilarious. Because, doing that high stressful job, it was a great way to kind of let off a little steam without, getting written up or fired. But you would have a folder of memes, and they were really funny. But what made you start doing that?
I don't know. One day I literally was organizing the front desk because the folders when we first started were just all over. We had double folders, or one folder was only at this station but not the next station. Yeah. So I don't know what, it was a slow day. I just re-cleared everything, went and got new folders, did it to every station, had the same shit. So nobody had to come steal my shit. Keep your shit in check,
Let that be a lesson.
But there was just an extra slot missing, an extra slot that needed to be filled, and I was like, okay, let me just put these hotel memes in there. I was like, because I had already seen a couple of memes, and I was like, let me just make a folder, and I left it there just for people to randomly look and be like, what the hell is this,
What?
So I had stocked it with probably at least 7 to 8 memes for sure. Left it there, and then slowly you would see it, other coworkers would see it.
We're like, what the hell is this?
And they're like, what is this? This is funny. And then I think it became a thing where if someone found a funny meme, we would start adding it to the folder.
I think I did too.
Yeah, I was like, I know you did some. I know a couple other coworkers were like, I put this in there. And I would do the same thing on my slow periods. I would go through and I'd be like, oh, this meme is so funny. And I would make sure I'd print 3 or 4 of them off. That way I could go put them in each folder. That way, everybody had the same shit. But it's definitely just one of those things to where I don't know. Sometimes I feel you're having a bad day, and you're just looking, and you're like, let me see that.
Give me that meme.
If you go through it, it's just kind of let me see if anyone put any new things in here, because I felt we all kept it pretty fresh on adding new things.
Right. It got thick after a while, that folder.
Yeah, I was we all got to see different new memes, and I felt it was just a thing to be kind of not everything's that bad.
Yeah, I know, because there was so much there is so much chaos in hotels in general and hospitality. It's always so fast paced, and it's very much like Hollywood. It's very much hurry up and wait. So you'll have moments of calm and quiet, which are always the quiet before the storm. Never believe that your day is going to be quiet, because even though there may not be that many check-ins, something's going to happen.
I was gonna say, I always say that, like, even at my job today, like they'll be like, "Oh, it's quiet today." I'll be like,
Why did you say that? Here come the hordes.
I was like, "Here comes the storm."
Oh, it's like
You
the universe.
jinxed us.
The universe is like, wait, what? Oh no, send them in. Swarm.
Oh, we were just holding the gates back.
I know. Let them in. Yeah, that was funny. That was one way we definitely coped there. Some people coped in other ways. I remember one coworker we had. He would take a walk, and sometimes he'd take a puff off his pen. And great guy.
Didn't we all? I would always be like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Right.
One time I did accidentally, I had a manager give me edibles.
Oh no! Oh my God!
And he's like, don't take it at work. But what I heard was, take it at work.
Of course you did. Of course you did, Cinda. Oh
so I was like, and I thought I only ate a certain amount, but that shit hit hard. And I just remember, like, I was fine. And this guest came up from Australia.
Oh no.
Like, asking me about, like, this room and that room. And then he's like, show it to me. I'm like, can I have a bellman show this room? Like, you know? So he goes and he shows him the room, and he comes down. He's like, so you told me this price, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Sure.
And he's like, on.
Oh no.
I was like, so the third party, he basically was going to get it lower. And I was like, it's going to take about 20 to 25 minutes for that to actually come through to our system, just so you know. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. I saved like $100. And I'm like, okay, all right, for sure. And he's like, but here's the thing is that it's telling me in Australian. So how much is that US?
Oh.
And
that's usually twice as much.
Right now, the edibles are hitting.
So the conversion.
So I'm like acting
converting.
like I don't know what Google is to convert it or something. But I also don't want to quote somebody a certain amount of money when I actually don't know the conversion. And I don't know if Google is actually accurate.
No.
I'm sure it's close, but I was just kind of like, oh, I'm unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure on the conversion for that. You're going to have to try to switch like your thing to it to make sure you get the proper amount, you know, because I'm not going to quote you.
No.
And he asked me 3 more times. At this point, I'm like, the edibles are hitting and I'm stoned out of my mind. Like, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, why does he, like, in my head, I'm like, why does he keep asking me? Like, he keeps, I don't know what the conversion is. And then, like, I was like, why is he trying to spend so much time with me? Like, I'm going to need someone to walk me to my car after the shift. Like, it was, like, getting crazy in my head. I was like, oh, my God, this guy's a serial killer.
All these scenarios.
I'm like, he's going to get me. So, like, eventually he's like, I'm going to go take a seat until the reservation comes through. And I was like,
okay,
to the coworker, I was like, I need to go take a break. So, like, I go in the back and, like, luckily it's my manager that, like, I'm cool with. I was like, hey, up, I need to take a nap back here. Like, so I go and I'm like just chilling and shit, and I come back and I like tell my coworker, I'm like, you checked him in? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, thank God. And it was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm stoned out of my mind and I was having an episode. And he was like, really? I was wondering why you were so quiet.
My hat's off to you guys. I don't think I could function that way. So I think it was that property. Some guy who had a cannabis store, had a bunch of samples he would always bring in. Do you remember that guy? Like he was real sweet. He was a real great guy. It wasn't to like bribe anybody, but just like, I got samples, and he knew people like consume.
Like, I don't know why I saw guys get weed more than females would. There's actually only 2 guests that have given me weed. One of them actually knew me. That's why they gave it to me. The other one, he gave me a CBD drink. Oh,
was that the guy? Well, yeah, this one guy brought like a big box for all of us. And I'm like, it was the first time I had ever did anything like that. I'm like, well, I'll try a gummy just for the hell of it before I go to bed. So like a genius who's never done it before, who's not like, I'm very like clean cut when it comes to all that stuff. I always kind of was. Grew up very religious, you know, it's one of those things. But I just said, why not? This guy's, you know, these are professional products and all that. And it said, take half of this gummy. I'm like, all right. So I took half the gummy. After like 15, 20 minutes, didn't feel anything. And then I'm like, I'll take the other half. And then another half. So I took 3 times as much as you're supposed to take.
Oh no.
And this was from someone who's never done it before. So that night I was like, I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. I don't know what's going on. And then I like half passed out sitting up in a chair. Like,
yeah, you pass out like this.
It's like I was having this spastic, and like my heart, like I couldn't get like the feeling back for like I didn't feel normal for like 2 weeks. It was like weird. I'm like, geez, I'm never doing that again. It's a bad trip. I remember when there were events at the property that we worked at together in Hollywood, the parking lot was limited, so we would have to park at an off-site place, and a lot of properties do that. That would piss me off. I'd be like, get the valet to take them to the other one, because that other shop, that other location that we would have to park at would always close at 10 or 11. By the time we got off, the gates would be locked, and it would take 20 minutes to a half hour to get out of there. I literally
told them I'm not parking there no more.
It's dangerous and it's dark. No security. There's security there. There was no security there.
Yeah, I've had like 2 bad experiences happen. Both times I parked there. Yeah. Like the first one was I walked up and the gate was shut. And people were like basically like trying to open it, and I'm like, that too. I was like, yo, I'm like, you have to press the button. Someone's going to come and open it for you.
There was nobody over there.
They were like, well, there was like some guy, but he was like down in the basement and shit like that. So he had like walk up it, but he walks up. He's like, hey, just so you guys know, I called the cops already. So the cops are on their way because you tried to break into my establishment. Da da da.
Like, you moron, we have like, our cars here.
Yeah, they basically were like, we're just trying to get our cars, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but you don't do that. And I was like, whatever, I'm just getting my car and I'm fucking leaving. Cops pull me over. Oh. Yeah, they were like, oh, blah, blah, and they let me go, right? But I was just like, the whole idea that I think I'm leaving work and like somebody else was breaking in somewhere and I got stopped for it. For like this. I was like, great, awesome, just because wrong place, wrong time.
Right, exactly. Because these morons wouldn't do their jobs.
Yeah, and the next time it's like Oscar weekend and like the streets are packed with cops, like, and I'm just like, fuck it, because like I got stuck at work a little bit later than everybody else did that day. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, like I'm gonna be fine. There's cops up and down this road. So I'm like walking over there and literally I'm crossing the street and this guy like at the liquor store across is just like, I see him eye me and it's like one of those things. I'm like,
you're like, yeah, you know it's coming. You're like, damn it.
And he like pulls up next to me and he's like, hey, like, where are you coming from? I was like, oh, I just got done with work, but I'm about to like, I have this thing where I learned like when I was like younger and shit, like, always tell them that somebody's waiting for you at home. Someone's expecting you home. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I don't have a boyfriend, but I was like, my boyfriend's waiting for me. I'm like, he like, I'm like, no, thank you. Like, you know, kind of like, you'd always just throw it out there. That way that they get like the hint, like someone is going to be looking for you if something happens. So then he was just like, oh, and I just like, kind of like, no, thank you. Like, no, thank you. Like, my boyfriend's waiting for me to buy, like, and I like just go into the parking garage because that's where my car is, and I'm like running because at this point like I just see his car like inching behind me and I'm like, fuck, like, so God. I literally am sprinting at this point, like I'm calling one of my coworkers who are like just down at the block, right? And I'm like praying that they open because I know they're still on the clock, so there's a chance they don't have their phone on them. Yeah. And if they didn't answer, I literally was gonna call like the manager phone because I was like, no, like I'm not having this shit happen to me.
That property had a separate phone simply for the manager.
Yeah. So I was like running and my coworker answers it as like, stay on the phone with me, like please stay on the phone with me, someone's chasing me in like the car. And I literally was like making it to the next level, but it's like I could hear the car coming around. Yep. So it's like it's literally like a scary movie. I'm like booking it and I get to my car and I'm like, I'm in my car and I'm like turning it on and the car literally, so if my car's like parked like this, like almost just pulls up like that.
Like a T-bone.
To like, if it's, T-bone. In my head, my car is old. This guy was driving a white Mercedes. I will smash into your car. You think that I'm scared? I will smash into your car and you're not going to do a damn thing about it. Because what were you going to say? I tried to abduct her and she...
I know. She hit my car.
So the minute like I threw that shit into reverse, all of a sudden he's like pulling out because I think that he knows like I'm a ram you, like, so it's like he kind of like just pulls up next to me and I just like and like fly out of there. And like I think that he just sat there because he realized like, what is he gonna do, keep chasing me? Like there's no point in that. But I definitely was like, holy fuck, like this guy spotted me on the street and literally followed me in here, like, and then my coworker was just like basically on the phone with me until I hit the freeway, like making sure like no one's following me, nothing's happening, like, and I was just like, dude, thank you so much for answering, because this shit is scary, like, and I'm thankful that he even had to like stay later and that someone else was like around the vicinity at the same time as me. But ever since that, like, I came and told them, they're like, well, next time just ask security to walk you. I'm like, bitch, I'm not parking there no more. I'm telling you that right now. Like,
I would get pissed off and tell them, because a lot of the housekeepers were women, and they would have to make that trek, and at night it's dangerous. It's dark, as you found out. You know, it's dark, it's dangerous, it's dank, and
even if the cops, like that street was filled with cops, and this guy had no like insecurity that he was gonna get caught or anything like that.
No. Because once you're up there, no one can hear you scream. You know what I mean? It's very, you know, big concrete parking garage. Yeah. But yeah, I would get pissed off, and I would tell them, I am not doing that again, and you need to stop, you know, or, you know, get more security there. Oh, it's a security guy there. He wasn't there half the time. And, you know, we'd be stuck outside, and luckily I would be in a big group usually, and we'd be trying to get in and trying to get our cars. The valet from the hotel would have to come and open it up, and because they had a spare key, or they were given access to it. Okay. But it was just so stupid and selfish. Like they would never prepare the employees for that, and they always tell us last minute. You know, it was just so obnoxious. I hate when companies do that. But especially with that. But yeah, I would see like the housekeepers, they would try to pair up, but sometimes you got to leave alone. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's dangerous. Yeah. You know, especially if you're having somebody go to a creepy garage where there's nobody watching. There was literally no one there. There was never anybody.
Nobody at all.
The guy in the basement, it's like he's in the basement. Yeah. Like, you know, you can only get him by buzzing the button, which, you know, he ignored most of the time. Like if you see
someone with the gate, like, oh, let me sit here and call the cops real quick.
Right. Exactly. Like, we're trying to get our cars, you moron. Yeah, no, that would piss me off for sure.
I had a guy ask me to call the FBI one time.
Like, really?
Yeah, it was like mad weird. This guy came in and he just sat on one of the couches for a while, and he's like, I'll just wait until you get done checking everybody in, because there was a little bit of a line, not too bad though. And I'm like, okay, like, and he's just sitting there like chilling with his backpack. And then he comes up, he's like, I need you to look up the number to the FBI for me. I need you to call the FBI for me immediately. He's like, he basically named kind of like one of the cities by the beach, but it was a solid hour away from us. Like, and he was like, I need you to call them because my son was abducted down there. And at first I was like, why are you an hour away? Right. Asking this Hollywood hotel to call the cops for you. Like, it's not making sense. And I was like, okay, give me one moment here. Let me go talk to, he's like, you don't need your manager. You have the computer right there. You can look up the number right there, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get someone to help. Like,
yeah, no, and help isn't for you.
Yeah, and he was like, no, it's right here, you can do it. And I'm like, yes, but my computer's not working. Let me go find someone who can actually like help us. So I go to the back and I call security from the back, and I'm like, I need you to get it to the front. This guy's asking me to do this, and that. And so they go and they tell him like, hey, you need to leave. So they go and they walk him out. He comes back. Don't know how he comes back, and he comes back in, so that he doesn't come to me no more. But at that point, like the minute I see him walk in, I call the security. I'm like, hey, he's back, like, you know. And he's stopping some of the guests and being like, do you have access to the internet? Can you call the FBI for me? Like, he was going through asking everybody to call an FBI for him. Like, I don't even know what it was, like if he was tripping, if he was like just homeless and tweaked out, but an hour away from when your son was abducted.
He was a little off his rocker, let's say that.
Yeah, pretty much. But that was like probably one of the weirdest experiences. Like, he was just like staring me in my, like, call the FBI. I was like, yeah, I don't like dealing with cops, sir.
I know, especially after the gummy incident.
Yes.
That's the funny thing too. That's an interesting thing. In that area in Hollywood, sometimes it's hard to tell the crazy from the sane. Yeah. You know, because people dress in all sorts of ways.
He looked kind of maybe like
normal-ish.
He had his hair slicked back. Like, he definitely had like a hiking outfit on. Okay. But at the same time, it was like, I don't know what's happening here.
Sometimes you have to get into a conversation for a while with people. I know that it's odd, but sometimes they'll come in off the street. You think they're checking in. They're not. They have all these stories, and some of these stories are kind of genuine. But then right when they get to the end of it, you're like, oh, and they start mentioning dragons all around. I'm like, no, I don't see the same dragons you do. I'm so sorry.
Me and one of the managers were like duty, and this guy happened to come up to her because me and her were both checking people in,
Right.
and he goes and he was like, oh, I just have a question, basically asking about the haunted past of our hotels. So she was like more than happy, like, yes, this, that, this, and that. He goes, and how much is it to like book a hotel room? And she's like, this and that. But like then she kind of, I felt like, started to feel he's a little weird, little screw loose. And she's like, but you will need to have a credit card, okay? Like, and he's like, okay, let me call my friend real quick, like, to see if I can get that credit card. And she's like, yeah, for sure. Go ahead. And he's like, okay. With like the serious face ever, like, I'm like over there on the computer, like, and he goes, hey Siri, call Mickey Mouse.
I don't see a Mickey Mouse in your contacts.
My phone goes off.
Thank you,
and
Siri.
literally the manager just like looks at me and she's like, like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like, and then he was like, okay, they didn't answer, but we're like, no shit, they didn't fucking answer. Like,
You nut job.
he's like, I'm just gonna go take a seat over here until I can figure it out.
Whatever you need to do, Walt, you take your time.
Dude, me and her, like, that was like our joke for like the rest of our time together. We'd be like just like typing on the computer. It'd be like, hey sir, call Mickey Mouse.
Oh my! And the funny, I shouldn't say that.
He's like, I shouldn't say it. You already know it's gonna be
Shouldn't say
good.
it funny, but how do you deal with that? You know what I mean? And just as a general topic, because a lot of times you will deal with mentally ill.
Yeah.
And in a lot of properties, people wandering off the streets when it's cold, they will look for a place just to talk or just to be warm for a while. But like, how did you feel about that? How did you deal with a lot of the homeless that would come in, besides straight up calling security, which you do have to do for
Right,
the protection, because most of the homeless people that come in aren't violent. But the thing is, you can't really take that chance.
That's the thing, is it's more like borderline, like, oh, are
Yeah.
they gonna snap? Like,
Right.
So I always like go with very caution, like, I don't know a lot about this. Like, I tried to play dumb and just be like, I think it's going to be better. Let me ask one of my colleagues, like, and that's when I try to find any opportunity to go and leave and call like security, like, and to get out of there basically. But like, I just nice as possible, listen to them, because that's what I have to do. Like, I can't even like, really? No, wait, what's that? Okay. You know what? I'm new here. I don't have a lot of experience with this situation. Let me ask someone for help. Like, and then that's how I escape from it. But,
Managers, get out of here.
Oh, no, 100%. If there's a dangerous situation, that's above my pay grade.
Yeah. Well, have you ever been threatened at the desk by a homeless person coming in, or mentally ill individual?
No one's threatened
That's
me.
not management.
Yeah, no one's threatened me. If they threatened me, like, I would have been like, oh, it's my opportunity.
Time to throw down.
Yeah.
I had this one guy at my Santa Monica property come in and start talking, not to me. They would never start with me. That was the funny thing. They would always start with like one of the girls. And he just started telling them off and blah, blah, blah. Like, the only one I like is this guy because, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I kind of got pissed off because I'm like,
I hate when people use me as like leverage. Like, really, she's cool. I'm
yeah,
like,
exactly. I know it. They do that. And I'm like, stop. I'm going to be the one to kick your ass. So let's not make it awkward. But, he started calling. He was like, oh, I'm like, look, I go, what are you doing? I went up to him, I go, what's wrong with you? Because I guess the girls thought I was going to handle it calmly. And I'm like, the fuck is your problem? I go, don't talk to them like that. What's wrong with you? And, he's like, I'll mess you up, man. I'll make you look blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, get
he's
the
like
hell out of
fucking
here.
comes out like Popeye, like
I know.
spinach.
Little corncob pipe. But, finally, they came in. But that was my problem with them. And we were talking previously about not having security and why security is
Right.
important. But he was making physical threats to me and all this. I'll do this. And the guests were coming around and I was trying to protect the guests. And they're like, do you need any help? They're like, we have bear mace. I'm like, nah, I can take him. He's
Bear
fine.
mace.
I'm like, we have bear mace in our bag. I'm like, it's fine. He'll be okay. He's nothing. And kind of loony, and wanted to talk to the GM. I'm like, dude, you're not going to talk to the GM, you nut job. You gotta go. And if he was just normally
See the
mentally
exit?
ill,
That's for you.
I know that's not some magical porthole. It means get out. But I stuff like that. It's case by case. But that's why you need security at a hotel, because you never know when that's going to happen, and it can get dangerous and violent. If these people have needles, knives, guns, whatever, they're crazy. But
They're gonna get me with the Hep C right now.
Sure.
they're gonna
Even
stab me.
the police, have problems with that too. Like they're not paid enough. They're not given the right equipment, the right gloves. They're given like those black latex gloves, and they're like that a needle sticks through that. So like they don't get paid enough for that, but they have to deal with all that.
If they pulled a needle out on me, I'd be like, baton.
Baton. But
taser stick.
You're right. I know, and it was difficult. But he was calling me a banana. That's how you guys like, you banana. I'm like, wait a minute, you're cussing all this way, and then you're saying banana. I go, something weird. He said, all right, Maroon 5. I'm like, okay. And I'm like walking away pissed
Jesus
off.
Christ, Ed Sheeran.
I know. He was like walking away, and I'm like, kind of like confused. I'm like giving the angry face, but in my head, I'm like, a banana, Maroon 5. What is wrong with this guy?
I literally had a guest one time that made me feel like up and down. Like it was like when I first started, like
That's always so confusing.
like first of all, they told me, one of the managers like, hey, I'm gonna go do checkouts. There's 2 managers that day. The front office manager's like, I'm gonna do checkouts, you guys stay at the front desk. I was like, cool. The other manager's like, Cinda, go do checkouts. I was like, blah blah blah, went to go do checkouts. He goes, she didn't tell me that, so you can go do them. I'm like, okay. So everything's fine until I get to the last room. Literally, of course, it has to be the last room. And I'm like, ¿qué service es? Like, I'm always stupid with it because I never think anyone's going to actually answer.
Right.
And she answers the door and she's like, and I'm like, oh.
What did I do?
Like, she's crying. Like, I'm already,
hard.
like, mentally preparing for the worst. She's like, can I help you? And I was like, I was just checking to see if, we were gonna want a late checkout or we are extending the stay today. And she's like, you are the 4th person to knock on my door, and I've already told everybody else that I'm staying again, and I already booked, so why are you knocking on my door? And I was like, my apologies. I literally would not be knocking on your door if the communication would have been pushed through. I will personally make sure everybody is communicated to make sure no one else knocks on your door anymore. I swear, like, I would not be bothering you if you, like, she's like, I'm sorry. Like, I've just had a really hard day, and I just feel like everybody's been knocking on my door, like, and I mean, really, I was the 4th person because, like, minibar, housekeeping, the first manager that checked, and now I'm coming back around. So I was like, I literally would not be touching your door if I would have known. I really apologize for doing this. Yeah. And she's like, it's okay. It's been a hard day. She didn't say it's okay. She's like, it's been a hard day. I'm dealing with my own things. I'm trying to get things done, and everybody keeps bothering me right now. So I'm really sorry if I seem upset to you, but do you mind telling me again why the you're here? And I was like, again, my apologies. I will make sure that the communication gets pushed through because it was not pushed through to me, but I will make sure nobody else is knocking on your door. Like, I'm really apologize. And she's like, because she's still crying through this whole thing. And she's like, I'm sorry. You're really cute and everything like that. And I just don't mean to take it out on you, honestly. It's just... you know what? I hope you have a good day, and just please make sure you tell everybody, okay? I'm just like,
Okay.
Fine, for sure. So, like, I go down and I'm like, hey, you can touch this bitch's door. Like, I'm going to break.
I'm done.
I come back from break. Yeah.
Oh,
goes,
no.
And they're like, dude, we had to evict someone from the room. I'm like, who? And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I told you guys not to touch her door. Like, why is anybody? They're like, oh, well, the cops came.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not my problem then.
What? And they were like, yeah, her ex-boyfriend, apparently her and her ex had broke up and she was threatening to delete herself.
Oh, God.
So he showed up with the cops, and then because the cops went, then the 5th person to knock on the door.
Who the
Oh, so after they left, she came down just bitching the whole front desk out. Like, I was on break when it was happening, so I was like, thank God she wasn't like, and you told me,
Liar.
You bitch that I said was cute with the glasses. So yeah, she got totally kicked out because she just came down, like, just tripping on everybody, like, nobody's respecting my privacy, da 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 da. And then apparently she went to one of the neighboring hotels and was like, got checked in and everything, and like as she was like getting her keys, she's like, yeah, thank you guys so much. Yeah, for some reason the Hollywood hotel just kicked me out. Like, and they were like,
That's first thing. Yep.
Hey, why did you kick this lady out?
That's exactly what happens. So,
Yes.
so what happens is if you are kicked out of a hotel and because this happened at a sister property to me a month or two ago, where a woman just kind of mentally unstable,
Yeah.
where she was just kind of off. You can tell she was off her meds. It was one of those bad situations. But she got kicked out of our sister property and then tried to book with us, and then blah blah blah, and then she kept saying the same thing. I got kicked out of blah 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 this other hotel, and I'm like, oh, she got kicked out of the other hotel. Let's find out what happened. So the management called, and like she apparently put her hands on one of the drivers, one of the valet guys, and I know the guy, and I'm like, oh. And she would kind of be a little physical with us, and we didn't check her in, but she was talking a bunch of trash, but she was also a little off. So we kind of were like, yeah, she's crazy. Me and security were there. We kind of, made sure she left. And she just like went, slapped my hand. We did give her high fives after. She slapped my hand real hard. She was passive aggressive the whole time. Kind of like a schizophrenia kind of a thing. She just was very, because, when they're very bright and, you could tell like the wheels are turning in their head, but they're just turning in weird ways and making these odd connections and conspiracy theories. And she's like, yeah, I'm just got divorced from my husband after 25 years, just filed for divorce and da-da-da. And I'm like, well, I wonder why.
No, when people come telling me their life stories like that, I'm like,
No.
Do you know
check
that
that
I don't
box.
know who you are? Okay.
Right, exactly. Or don't care. But, it depends on how you approach it. But again, like that woman, if you are kicked out of a hotel, don't tell your next hotel you got kicked out of a previous hotel. Because we will like be like, oh, 1 sec. We'll go in the back. I need to check with my manager. We'll go in the back. We'll check up on you to make sure you're not a danger to us or our staff. And then we'll go on from there. Because if you're a big enough pain in the butt there, we'll cancel your reservation straight out.
Dude, I was like, when they came back, like I came back from break, I did not expect that whatsoever. So I was just kind of like, oh, you guys did what? I told y'all, and they're like, well, the cops came, we had to. I was like,
oh, okay.
well, it's out of my control now.
It's above my pay grade. Like it's out of my hands. That's in God's hands now. But it's hard to deal with a lot of that stuff when it comes to mental instability, emotional problems, because it's real life. People go through all that, and the staff, we try to handle it as best we can. Again, though, miscommunication kind of sets this person off, and maybe it worked out, but at the same time, there needs to be a certain level of communication between departments. That doesn't happen a lot of times. Didn't happen at the hotel we were at together in Hollywood, and the hotels I've been at before, there are better relays. And to where it kind of happens, but sometimes you have to focus your team on, or your management team. You have to focus priorities. You have to make sure your priorities have to start with communication with your department, your team, and other people. And I don't know what it is. Sometimes managers will think they're giving away too much if they're telling you, and not even personal information about a guest or a party that's coming in, but it's like they hoard the information to themselves.
Yeah.
And just kind of let you suffer. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just not high on their list of to-do list.
I think it's just that certain people were trained a certain way. Like me and you were trained at high level of communication and making sure that we have a management like aware of everything that's going on.
Because bad things will happen if we don't.
Where some people were like, I had it under control. Why? It's like because
well, obviously you didn't.
There are other people that work here and don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's like you may be able to handle it, but when that falls back on us, we don't know what to do.
Yeah, and you leave without even passing anything about what's happening. Like, oh yeah, I meant to.
By the way, what do you mean by the way? Last night, that's too late, man.
Yeah.
We had to kick somebody out.
By the way, someone's coming back for their stuff.
Oh, I know. When they have to come back for it, it's so awkward. When they have to come back after getting kicked out, that's really
because you guys wanted to kick me out last night.
I know.
I didn't kick you out.
I know. I wanted to kick you out, but my manager took it away from me and did it themselves.
Would I have sat there on the sidelines and clapped? Probably.
Yeah, exactly. Am I jumping up and down for joy inside right now? Oh yeah. But no, it's there's different levels of difficulty. But some people are just out of hand, out of pocket when it comes to that stuff, and they just want to fight, and they want to find somebody. And look, it's a tough situation if you're going through a lot. I'm not trying to demean those with depression and self-deletion and things like that at all. It is serious, and hopefully she got some help. But when it comes to just rage at the front desk, like sorry, it sucks. Our management's not communicating with us, so we don't know what's going on. And I was told to be here. This isn't of my own volition. I'm not like, you know what? I'm going to go up and check rooms because, just because.
I want to go and knock on someone's door and ask them. And you know what? I don't even give people that time of day. Like, it would just happen. Like, if someone comes up and they open the door, they're like, I'm still in the room. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, all right.
Gonna go charge your card.
It's going on the credit card. It's going on the plastic.
I'm not over here like, yeah, but for how long?
I know.
Okay. if you don't leave right now, I'm calling security. Like,
I know, it's like,
I don't
get paid for that. It's
don't
like,
do-
look,
yeah.
if your card goes through, it's none of my business.
Yeah, if your card declines, I'm just gonna lock you out.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and then we just find out what your credit limit's like then,
Let me show you how effortless this is.
and click.
Don't even waste my breath.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, it's the life of a front desk agent. Thank you so much for tuning into the Inhospitality Podcast. I'm Ty Justice,
I'm Simba.
and we'll see you at check-in.